وصحبه ومن اتبعه إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد, we're here today. This is what, the 16th day of Ramadan? Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We've missed halfway mark, and it just happened so quickly, right? Make sure everybody turns off their phones so we don't get disturbed in that regard. And let's get started, man. We are on, how many surahs have we done so far?
6.
You sure? We did Fatiha, Nas, Baqarah, Falaq, Ali Imran, Ikhlas. That's 6 right there. Then we did Al-Ma'idah, right? Oh no, An-Nisa and Al-Lahab. That's 8. And then we did Ma'idah, and we did, after Ma'idah, we did Nasr, right? That's 10 surahs we did so far, right?
But you did Ma'un and some others. Yeah.
And then we did Ma'un, right? No.
You said that we were just.
No, we didn't do Ma'un. We just passed. That was just a perusal.
Introduction.
We were just passing through.
Did you mention Ikhlas?
Yes, I did. And we mentioned Asr. We did do Asr, so that's 11. Okay? Right? We did 11 surahs so far. Please write it down so that we make sure that, covering these surahs in the way we cover them is very important for you to see what you have accomplished and what you should know. Because when we have our test and everything like that, and we say, okay, what surah? I expect you to be able to tell me about those 11 surahs. The themes of those surahs, those things that we covered, because they're connected, right? All that is connected. So if I mention the surah, you should be able to tell me what that surah is about, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, what's Al-Fatiha about? It's a dua. Remember, I want you to remember it's a dua. It's vital, important to remember that we started off as a dua and it's asking for guidance, okay? And what do we acknowledge in the beginning of that surah?
How to answer that?
No, all the 3 types of Tawheed. Tawheed. We acknowledge Allah is unique and singular, meaning the only one like these things, okay? Which is vital and important, okay? What did we learn in Surah An-Nas?
Same thing.
No, not just, what's the same thing?
Well, we learned the 3 types of Tawheed as well.
Okay, we learned to seek refuge in Allah through those 3 types of Tawheed. What else did we learn? What is it? What is that surah?
It's a dua.
It's also a dua. So from the beginning to the end, there's a dua. Okay. What else did we learn in that surah? How the shaitan attacks us. Okay? That's real important. That should be, life-changing right there, to know how shaitan attacks you, all his tricks, and so that you can respond to that. Okay, what else did we learn? What did we learn in Surah Al-Ma'idah?
That's for the community family. No, it's about Isa.
It's about Isa. That's one of the things is about Isa, right?
Keeping your covenants.
Keeping your covenants, keeping your promises, right? This is what we learned in that particular surah. What's the words that are used the most in that particular surah?
Allahu la ilaha illa huwa.
No, that's not true. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe, is repeated the most in that surah than any other surah in the Quran. O you believe. How many times is O you believe mentioned in Surah Al-Ma'idah? 16 times. Do you know how many times Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu is mentioned in the Quran? 88 times. There you go. And in that surah, the most is written in there. What surah? What's the first surah? How many times does Ya ayyuhan nas come in the beginning of a surah? Twice in the whole Quran. And if you pay attention to the spirit and the flow of the Quran, first it says Ya ayyuhan nas, and the next surah says Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. Okay? So it follows in that particular order. What is the first Ya ayyuhan nas come? What does it tell you? What is it telling you guys? What's that? The beginning of our creation. It comes in the first half of the Quran. The only other Ya ayyuhan nas that comes in the beginning of a surah comes where? In the second part of the Quran, and it's in Surah Al-Hajj. And what does it tell you? The beginning of the hereafter, right? So one Ya ayyuhan nas tells us the beginning of our creation in this world. The other Ya ayyuhan nas tells us the beginning of our entrance into the next world. So this is vital and important for us to understand these types of things in the Quran. Alhamdulillah. So now what did we learn in Surah Tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab. What was that surah was about?
About the husband and wife going against.
I can't hear you.
About the husband and wife going against. Oh wow.
Somebody help him out.
Some kind of family which is built upon.
Right. It's based upon family. What are the two pillars of the family?
The husband and wife.
The two pillars of the family, husband and wife, right? So when we look at Surah Al-Lahab, what are we're juxtaposing it. We're comparing it to what other surah? Surah An-Nisa. So in Surah An-Nisa, we learned about the two pillars in society and the roles of everybody in society, right? And that we're supposed to work together as family members to get to Jannah, right? What's the theme of Surah An-Nisa? I can't hear you guys. Just because that's the number one characteristic that we need to have in order to have a sane society. And that's why the first person we have to give justice to is the weakest person in society. So what happens at the beginning of the surah? Who's it talk about? The orphan. The one that doesn't have any ties of relationship, right? So if we take care of that person, then everybody who does have a link of relationship, we expect them to get their rights too. Right?
Right.
So after learning that, then we compare it to the last, that Surah Al-Lahab, and that's about two pillars in this society too, the husband and wife. But what are they working for? Evil. Dalala, falsehood, kufr. You see, and we see the end, the despicable end of those two individuals. So remember, the first 7 surah are directly connected to the last 7 surah. And that's what we've been doing each time, showing each one how it connects. But also, I told you guys that the last 10 surah are connected too. Didn't I say that? Mm-hmm. I said that there is an order going in this way too. And that's what we're going to start today. Well, actually, we're going to mention Surah Al-Kafirun. We mentioned it yesterday, but I'm going to keep pushing it till everybody memorizes. Just like you now know and you're familiar with those surah in the front connecting to the back, I want you to become familiar with the last 10, how they're connected to each other. Okay? First things first, you got to know what the last 10 are. In order. In order for you to appreciate that. Now, we're going to do Kafirun today, and then after this, we're going to go to Surah Al-An'am. Because we have to cover that surah as well. And that surah is the most detailed explanation of our worldview in the whole Quran. It is the one surah that focuses on the qadr of Allah, okay? And it gives us vivid, graphic descriptions of how the day of judgment is going to be established for the kuffar. What's going to happen on that day. And so for us to understand that, that's not one surah we're just going to go through briefly. We're going to cover that extensively. We're going to go through each ayah of that particular surah, 165 ayah, because it's vital and important for us to understand that, okay? However, and the stories. What did we learn about stories so far? What is the rule for every story in every surah in the Quran? Is it just happenstance? Right? We said, what happened? We're looking and there's only one angle the story is given and another piece of the story. Why is that? What's the wisdom behind that? Yes, ma'am.
That man is forgetful, and that the very word for man is, in fact, forgetful. And so things are repeated throughout the Quran.
That's one angle, but that's not the reason why that angle of the story is given. The story is repeated for that reason, okay? However, why only this side of the story is given? And then another part of the Quran, another angle of the story is given. Anybody want to tell me? Sorry? Thank you. Each story, each angle of the story. And I want you guys to look at this. When you read a story in the Quran, look at what surah you're reading. Look at the story, then take a step back and look at the whole forest. And then you will see that story and the angle in the story is supporting the theme of that surah. And that's the only angle the story is given, is in order to support the theme in that story. In that surah. So when we go to Surah Al-An'am, guess who? And we're talking about Aqidah, right? We're talking about belief here, what we believe. Guess whose story we get? Ibrahim's. See how pertinent that is for us? And it's the story of how Ibrahim, explains to his people what he believes and what he don't believe. And it's vital for us to see and put into the context. So now we're in Surah Al-Kafirun. Surah Al-Kafirun is on the other end of Surah Al-An'am, right? It's on the exact other end. They're compared. One of the things that we see in Surah Al-An'am is how many times Allah says, Qul, say, right? Say. So you want to give da'wah, you want to say what Allah said, right? That's what it tells us. This Surah Al-Kafirun, it also starts in that way. Qul, Allah is telling us what to say. Now, the surah is called Kafirun because here the Prophet is commanded to call them Kafirun. Qul ya ayyuhal kafirun. Now this is really funny because nowadays we don't want to call them kafirs. Sometimes you'll say, hey, these are kafirs. Oh, don't call them that. Well, what do we call them? What did Allah call them? Okay? No, you don't want to be offensive. Ittaqillah. Are you saying Allah did something wrong by calling them kafirs? No. In fact, He told us to call them kafirs. When He said, Qul ya ayyuhal kafirun, and He told us to say it a lot. Because this one surah, Surah Al-Kafirun, its status in comparison to other surahs, it has a high status. Allah tells us to recite this surah, right, every first thing in the morning. The first surah after Al-Fatiha, before you start your Fajr Salah, you pray 2 raka'ah. What are you told to recite in those 2 raka'ah? Surah Al-Kafirun in the first raka'ah, and Surah Al-Ikhlas in the second. Is that correct?
Yes.
This is another surah where there are so many narrations where it said that teach your children this surah to recite before they go to sleep. Teach yourself, recite this surah. So many different narrations saying, recite this surah before you go to bed. What do we say in our witr salah? We recite Surah Al-Kafirun. Again, how many times are we taught to recite Surah Al-Kafirun? Even going around the Kaaba, making tawaf, reciting Surah Al-Kafirun. So that's the status that this surah has on other surah. A high status. Now, what was the story behind it? Now, we're telling the story, but remember, we're doing tafseer, and then we're going further than that and doing tadbir, thinking about what that means. So don't get stuck on the story. The reason of revelation is not meant to restrict the meaning, but it's to give us some context. The kuffar of Mecca came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam when they really couldn't get nowhere. They said, maybe we can, be slick about it. And they said, yeah, Muhammad, listen, we're going to worship your Lord for a whole year. They put it forth like they were doing him a favor. Okay? We're going to worship your Lord. And then next year you worship our Lord. So we worship yours. And if what you said is true, we'll get whatever the portion we're supposed to get out of it. We'll learn something. And then the next year after that, you worship our Lord. Okay? And we just do it that way. This is the same thing they come nowadays with this, what is it called? Interface? What is it called? Interface. Where they're not coming together to ask questions about Islam, which is okay. We can come together and sit down and talk about what Islam is. It's not a problem. But we're not coming here to bring our children to dance with your children and these things, or to try to, we lost our deen and we want to know how we can be like Christian. No, that's not what Islam is all about. We're not doing this type of thing where we're going to mix. I'm going to pretend like I'm a kafir for a year, and then you're going to pretend like you're a Muslim for a year. No, Islam brings us dignity and honor, and Muslims, we have to take that. It's one of the things that we have lost. And I keep trying to point out, everything you see in the world today, the kuffar got it from the Muslims. And they were imitating us. And then when we lost our sense of dignity, really our sense of history, then we started imitating them, not even realizing it. Okay? And so we have to constantly bring back this sense of dignity. How does it come back? Through the Quran. Not just saying we follow the Quran and Sunnah, but actually learning the Quran and applying the Sunnah in our lives. And this surah establishes those particular principles. I'm going to flip the screen here. So in this surah, we say a few things. We say, قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ. Oh, you disbelievers. Oh, you kafirs.
You have to pull the,
No, they took it off.
they took it off.
Yeah, they took it off. Alhamdulillah. Because some children came and did a whole bunch of graffiti. You know, alhamdulillah, rabbil alameen. Because some bad parents think watching their children. When I was in Mauritania, you know, one time my goat ran away. Okay? She was mad at me. I slaughtered her child. Okay? So she, you know, goats got feelings, you know, so she ran away. She went with another flock. So I said, forget it. You want to go? Go. And I tried to go to the city, you know, and the Shaikh, and they said, no, you can't go to the city till you find your goat. Okay? But she went away and everything. It ain't the goat's fault that the goat ran away. You're a ra'i. I learned a very important rule. The ra'i is the one that's responsible for the lost sheep, not the lost sheep. You get the point? When you go out with your camels and stuff like that, if the camel drinks bad water, okay, like soapy water or something like that, that's your fault, not the camel's fault. And so we as parents and du'at, we have to realize that too about people. You know, the people are doing things because we're not doing what we're supposed to do. Okay? And Surah Al-Ma'un is a big proof against us not doing our neighborly needs with our non-Muslim neighbors. So the kuffar came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they said, worship our Lord one day, with 1 month, 1 year, we'll worship yours. Okay? And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, far be it, no, I would never, you know, do that. And then he came along to reveal this particular surah. And in this surah, we learn a lot about our deen. The whole, because you see the word, lakum dinukum wali dini. That's in the qira'ah of Yaqub. And every time I'm using a different qira'ah, I'm using the qira'ah that explains, makes it very clear what the tafseer is. Lakum dinukum. You see, he says, I'm not going to worship what you worship, right? And then at the end of it says, you're going to have your deen, and I have my deen. That's because our deen is based on 4 things. And this is so sad that we are not familiar with these things, but that's okay. Once we learn that we need it, now let's learn it. Okay? The deen is based on 4 things. The first one is aqidah. Let me I'll write in English, or English, what is it? Transliteration? Aqidah. This is the basis of our deen. Aqidah. Aqidah literally is different from tawheed. Some people think tawheed is aqidah. No. Tawheed, wahada yuwahidu tawheedan. It is to single out and isolate Allah for your allegiance. Okay? For your allegiance, for your pledge of allegiance is only for Allah. And it's also to single out and recognize that Allah is unique in all ways and that nothing is like Allah in the way Allah describes himself. That's tawheed. Aqidah is your worldview. Okay? How you see. When you know, do you realize, are you conscious that there are angels around you? Or that's not real to you? Do you get my point? Is this the month of Ramadan, or is this the month of July, or May? May. Whichever one of those is the real date for you, then that's your worldview. That's your aqidah. Does that make sense, guys? Yes. So, if you look at time and say, oh, it's Asr time, then that's your aqidah. You know, whatever you think, whatever you see, what is real, that's your aqidah. Does that make sense? No. Your aqidah leads to your ibadah. Okay? Having a correct aqidah will lead to correct ibadah, acts of ibadah. The next thing, if your ibadah is correct, your suluk will be correct. Suluk is your attitude. Okay? Your demeanor, how you carry yourself. Your adab. And that will lead, if this is correct, this will lead to your mu'amalat. Being correct. And mu'amalat are like what we call as your mundane affairs. Your affairs that are not acts of actual ibadah in and of themselves. Okay? How you deal with other people. Your interactions, everything that you do in the world. Does that make sense? How you sweep the floor, you know? How you deal with your workers. How you present your goods when you're selling and buying. All these things are mu'amalat. How you deal when you do any interactions in the dunya. And then you know what? And when we see a mistake or an ugliness in any of these things, you know it goes back to the aqidah. You know it always goes back. Now, I'll tell you something. We claim to follow the Sunnah. You know, you find a lot of Americans who say, oh, we follow Quran and Sunnah, right? But you see, we have some of the worst suluk. You know that? Reason being, we've shied away from this term because we think the Sufis have got it. And so because Sufis claim suluk, and they do claim it, and they do a lot of it, but not everything they do is incorrect. And so we can't throw the baby out with the bad bathwater. Seriously, but that's the mentality. And the way to correct the suluk is through raqa'iq, zuhud. It's through stories. Stories of people in the past or even in the present that did things that teaches us moral lessons and life laws and rules. That's what's supposed to be learned. And through that, it makes what they call it heart softeners, right? Heart softeners. Points of reflection so that we can see ourselves. That's what's called reflections. So we can see where we were wrong in this, where we need to improve. And when we focus on myself, then we get better, because seeing yourself deficient is the #1 cause of making you strive to do better. If you see yourself as perfect, who wants to go learn a class on how to start a car? I'm going to give a 5-hour class on how to start a car. Anybody want to come? No. Why not? Because you already believe you know how to start your car, right? So why would you go take a class about something you believe you already know? You guys get my point? Yeah. But if there's something you believe you need, you feel deficient in that thing, then you're going to go and strive to learn about that particular thing. And that's the importance here with learning suluk and learning about those heart softeners. That once you can reflect and see where, because sometimes we don't see that we're making mistakes in our attitude. But then when we hear these stories and we reflect and see ourselves in it, then we can change. Does that make sense?
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding. What is suluk?
Suluk is attitude. That's what it would be. Attitude. Is that a good way to translate it?
Yeah, some sorts of manners and things like that.
I say that, but manners are plastic. You can have good manners and still be rude. Yani, you know, it goes like this. You see, he said the word adab. Let me teach you guys something.
Behavior.
You would say behavior. I would say that as well. But I like attitude, because your attitude is different from your behavior. You just listen. When you have some people, as a teacher for many years, I've met children who will behave and still have a bad attitude. It's all about the attitude. Listen, it stems from this. He made a point. He said the word adab. Okay? You see this word adab? Why is it called adab? I'm going to show you why I said it starts with stories, right? I said it's about stories. Because of this word adab. What is adab?
Manners.
Some people are going to translate this matter as etiquette, right? But adab comes from the word adab. What is adab? Adab is readings, okay? Udabiyya, right? Ilm al-adab is not anything. Ilm al-adab is ilm al-qira'ah. Qira'at al-qasas. فهمت لي? Al-udabiyya is like reading the classics. Why are we reading the classics? Because in those stories are things that have moral makeup for the community. And that's why adab stems from reading the books of adab. Because in Arabic language, and this is different from the English language, in Arabic language there is hierarchy. What is hierarchy? Respect and rank, right? Big me, little you, equality, it's inferior, superior. English people don't like that. Meaning people who speak English don't like that, don't want to submit to that. But when you study adab, the Arabic language, you give an order. Qum. Now, if it's coming from someone who is senior to you, then that's an order. If it's someone who is your contemporary, then it's an encouragement, same word. If it's from an inferior, it's a talab. You get my point? So what happens through reading adab, you learn what is appropriate. You learn how to say things, right? He who in Morehouse, they say, you got to go to the 5 wells. One of the wells is, if you read well, then you'll speak well. You get the point? And you know what is appropriate. So adab, reading adab leads to good adab. Does that make sense, everybody? Yes. And now we're talking about why suluk is based upon reading and hearing, not necessarily reading, but hearing stories about people with good character and moral content. Our whole deen is this right here. These 4 things. Aqidah and minhaj. Aqidah covers aqidah and ibadah. Minhaj covers a suluk and mu'amalat. Because this is the mentality. Suluk is the attitude. That's why they want to use behavior. Suluk is the attitude. Mu'amalat is the behavior. Mu'amalat is the activity itself. Okay? Aqidah is the mentality. The activity comes out in the acts of ibadah. You guys get it? So we talk all the time aqidah and minhaj, but you know, what does it mean? It means aqidah and ibadah, and it means suluk and mu'amalat. And this is what we come in this particular surah. Does everybody follow what I'm talking about here? So if let me just write it out. Mentality. Aqidah is the mentality. Our world view. This is the activity. Suluk is the mentality, the attitude. No, I didn't say that. I said our worldview. Okay, it's your reality. No, I'm tired of using words that we keep saying that don't have meaning to us. It's like me saying magic. Magic has lost the stink that's supposed to be in that word. Okay? So let's use words that make them that yuthiru alayk. You know, that make an impression upon you. Your aqidah is your reality. Okay? Your reality, of course, is what you believe, but I don't want to use that term. I want you to think about it. What is real to you? That's your aqidah, your reality. Your worldview, your reality. And it's important to say that because so many Muslims say what they believe, but it's not a reality to them. It doesn't show up in their suluk or the mu'amalat. How many Muslims sell beer? How many Muslims sell cigarettes? I mean, I remember back in the days in the 80s, they had spots that sold weed and all this stuff. Now you go to any gas station run by Muslims and they sell the same stuff. They're drug dealers. Straight up and down.
Straight up and down.
But their aqidah, they would claim, but their belief is La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. But their suluk and the mu'amalat doesn't show that. So their aqidah is jacked up. Their reality is messed up. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because we could just say, yeah, I believe in Allah, the last day, this, that, and everything. But that's not the reality. So we need to really check what our reality is. And then how that's going to show up in our activity, our ibadah. Right. I had a guy tell me, I don't fast. Why? Because I'm in America. I said, well, I didn't. I went, whoa, man. You would think you would fast more, you know. But this guy would tell me, man, you know, you don't got to do that here in the States. I said, okay. You know, you see his suluk, his mu'amalat messed up because his reality is messed up. Okay? His ibadah has been affected by that. You see my point?
Yes.
All right. So now we're going to go back to the surah. This is the takeaway. This is one of the takeaways of this particular surah. That's why this surah is called Suratul Ikhlas. This Suratul Kafirun is called Suratul Ikhlas.
So how do the suluk and muamalatul come to our life?
Sorry?
How the suluk and muamalat will come to our heart?
Okay. How does the suluk and the muamalat come to our heart? First of all, it's a beautiful question. Barakallahu fikum. Reality. What is if you have the reality, and this is why knowledge is important. Okay? Because the keys to La ilaha illallah, the first key is knowledge. Right? العلم واليقين والقبول والانقياد فدر ما أقول والصدق والإخلاص والمحبة وفقك الله لما أحب. The first, Allah, the poem in Aqidah says, وَإِنَّهُ لَا يَنْفَأُ قَائِلُهَا بِالنُّطْقِ حَيْثُ لَا يَسْتَكْمِلُهَا الْعِلْمُ وَالْيَقِينُ وَالْقَبُولُ وَالْإِنْقِيَادِ فَدْرِ مَا أَقُولُ وَالصِّدْقُ وَالْإِخْلَاصِ وَالْمَحَبَّةِ وَفَّقَكَ اللَّهُ لِمَا أَحَبَّ. So what we learn here is that just saying La ilaha illallah, it does benefit. But how it's going to benefit you more is first if you have knowledge about what it means. Okay? So if you have knowledge of what Allah is telling you is real, from amongst those things, it's only going to find in the Quran first and foremost. Like I said, when Allah tells you in a surah that He is, He's Dhu Intiqam, He's going to take you into account for what you said. إِذْ قُلْتُمْ سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا. When you said, we hear and we obey. He's going to call you to account. Allah says in the Quran, if you could only see, and it's amazing in Surah Al-An'am, which is teaching us Aqidah, it says if you could see, it teaches how you view, right? If you could only see them when they're standing before their Lord. Isn't this your real? He's going to say, isn't this real? They're going to say yes. Okay? If you could only see when they're standing before the fire, they're over the fire. You could see their reality. So because they lied about the fire, they're put in front of it. Because they denied the existence of their Lord, they're placed in front of it. You get my point? So when we as believers, when we see this and we read this, this becomes our reality. Our iman, as he said, belief, is between fear and hope. When Allah tells us that He has an angel, that you don't say a word except there's an angel writing it down, that someone's going to pull you forward and someone's going to bear witness, that people are going to be dragged on their faces, and some people get to the Jannah, to the heights of Jannah, then that's going to affect your heart. Because the battleground, what's the battleground? Al-heart. The Prophet ﷺ said, At-taqwa ha-huna wa ashara ila sadrihi thalath. And he said some people don't believe. Why? Khatam Allahu ala qulubihim. He said He sealed their hearts. And other people said, Fi qulubihim maradun. They have a sickness. فَزَادَهُمُ اللَّهُ مَرَضًا. Okay? Who are these? يُصَوِّرُهُمْ فِي الْأَرْحَامِ كَيْفَ يَشَاءُ. He's the one that formed them in the first place. So the whole battleground is about the heart. The angel stands, when it's the reality that if you do an evil deed, something haram, an angel throws some black on your heart. And if you do something good, an angel throws some white stuff on your heart to make it shine. When this is your reality, that will affect your ibadah, your activity. See, that's what consciousness is, or taqwa, is a level of vigilance, a level of consciousness, reality that Allah is Al-Alim, Al-Hakim, Al-Khabir, Dhu Intiqam. And at the same time, Dhu Rahmah, Arhamur Rahimeen, Al-Ghafur Rahim. So we hope and we fear, and then that's going to affect how we deal. When we hear the stories how other people fared in those, now we have examples of what we can do. The problem with television is that it gives you all these unreal or immoral stories. And what do people tend to do? They get brainwashed. Brainwashing is real. When someone sees this all the time, this is how someone reacted, they imitate that reaction. Because it's right there in their follow. They just saw it. So if they're told to say something sarcastic, what do we see the children now responding? Very sarcastic. Really? Really? I saw a child the other day, he bumped into a girl. He's a boy, big enough to be with the men. He's on the ladies' side. He bumps into a little girl and turns around to him. Really? Oh, this is your attitude of a young man? Whereas I see same type of boys in Egypt working on the buses, hustling, going to the place they work because they got a different morality. Why? Because they have a different reality. What they're seeing is affecting them. So you see those same children, when they see Spider-Man, they want to be Spider-Man, right? Now we show them, stories of Ortugru and the different, peoples of the past, then they want to be like them too. Get my point? So the saluk is their attitude and mentality will be affected by being exposed to that. And then again, by husnul suhbah. The Prophet ﷺ said, be with those who make you shy. Okay? Rajulu ala deen khalili. A person is on the deen of his close, intimate companion. Ya laytani, qad takhadtu fulanan khalila. So, woe is me that, I took so-and-so as a friend. قَدْ ضَلَّنِي بَعْدَ إِذْ هَدَانِي. Right? They say, he led me astray. So that's why it's going to affect them, this companionship, and being exposed to these types of things, inshallah ta'ala. But it starts with knowledge. It has to start with knowledge. So after the Prophet ﷺ the surah was revealed to him, he came to Mecca and he came to the Kaaba and he recited it to the Quraysh. Okay? Now some people think that this surah is repetitive. It is not. It is not repetitive. You have to understand the Arabic language, and well, we'll go through it. Read the first line. قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ. Say that, please.
قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ.
Okay, so here Allah orders the Prophet to say, Ya ayyuhal kafirun. The Prophet, he doesn't speak rough with people. That's not his nature. Okay? He's gentle. But here Allah orders him. Say, Ya ayyuhal kafirun. He's saying what they are. What does the word kafara mean? We have the English word. Cover. Kafr means al-ghita. The word kafara in linguistically in Arabic is al-ghita, a covering. And it has become an English word because the F in the fa in the Arabic language, when they pronounce it wrong, becomes a V. And so they come with the word cover. Okay? Cover, from the word kafir. That's so, but the meaning is the same, even in the English language with the wrong pronunciation. And that's exactly what kafir is. To cover up what he recognizes. When he gets ayatul bayyinat, he covers it up and pretends he doesn't know that. He doesn't recognize it. Well, kufr is i'rad, is to turn away. To reject it and to turn away from it. So Allah is saying, Ya ayyuhal kafirun, this is what you are. Oh, you kafir. Ya is what you say to someone who is far away. In English, ya has become yo. Yo, my man. Ya ayyuhal rajulu. A is for someone close. Like we say, hey. Yo, hey. You hear me? Same thing in English. Ya ayyuha litanbih. Huh. Right? We say the same thing. It's just anglicized. Allah uses all three. Ya ayyuha, to make everybody close, near, and everybody listen up, pay attention. Ya ayyuhal kafirun. And of course the Arabic is much beautiful because yo is not as beautiful in English. You can't say that. You can say it in the street, but you can't say that to your mama. You can't. But you can say yeah because it has an endearing and a still majestic way to it at the same time. It's for the close one and the person you don't know. It's formal and informal based on context. That's the beauty of the Arabic language. So, ya ayyuhal kafirun. What's the next line? La. So Allah is telling us to make this statement. Again, we say this in the morning to confirm our stance, right? Before you go out, what you want, what do you believe? Because if you don't establish what you believe, you'll fall for anything, right? So Allah, first thing in the morning, remember this. La a'budu ma ta'budun. Listen, la, negation of what comes next. Say that. It negates what comes next.
Gates what comes next.
A'budu. A'budu here is I worship, okay? This is what we call a mudari, a fi'lul mudari. It is what we call a present tense verb. I know we don't do the grammar, but I want y'all to understand something, okay? And it's called mudari because it's similar to a supernoun, an ism, okay? In that the ends change. A'budu, a'buda, a'bud. We can say that. And that's not normally with af'al, with verbs. In Arabic, verbs normally don't change. Ijlis, all the orders are built on a sukoon. Okay? All the past tense verbs are built on a fatha. All of them. The only one that changes is the fi'l al-mudari. Okay? So he's saying, I do not worship. I am not worshiping. Okay? What you, ma. Ma here means alladhi. That thing that you. It's not for negation. I'm not worshiping that what you worship. Ma ta'budun. Okay? What does ta'budun mean? It's talking about ta'budun here is the thing that you worshiping. Okay, that's what ta'budun means. I'm not worshiping that thing y'all are worshiping. Whether it's the cross, whether it's money, right? Allah's message is, whether it's women, right? Whether it's the shirt. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, Ta'isal Abdul Dinar, Dirham wa Dinar. He said, cursed is the worshiper of money, dollars and cents. Ta'isal Abdul Qamis. Cursed is the slave of the shirt. You know, he's so into fashion. He worries about that more than he worries about his soul being clean. He worried about more than his thobe. Okay? His thobe is ready for salah, but he ain't. Yeah. So we find that Abu Amr, Amin al-Ummah, he came out and he said, look, he was running the army, Sahaba of Rasulullah. He said, listen, how he was inspecting the army. He said, man, you guys' uniforms are great. Really look nice. He said, but how many people spend more time preparing their thobe for salah, and they don't spend that same amount of time preparing their souls? They'll clean their soul, right? But they won't spend that time and energy cleaning their soul. How do you clean your soul? Istighfar. Istighfar. وَالْمُسْتَغْفِرِينَ بِالْأَسْحَارِ. Early morning, making dua. Asking Allah to forgive you, right? Follow up the bad deed with a good one. What it'll do? Wipe it out. See, it cleans it up. So this is what we need to understand. Tazkiyah to nafs, tazkiyah. Now, purifying that soul. But Allah is the one that zakkaha. Allah is the one that purifies it. Okay? Not us. Huwa a'lamu biman ittaqa. And he's the most well-known one that knows who is actually conscious of it. So here it's talking about, I am not worshiping what you worship, that thing you worship. And he said, Ta'isa Abdul Nisa, and the one who worships women. He said, what could mean when your umara'akum, yani akhiyarukum wa aghniya'ukum, yani sumaha'ukum wa amrukum shura bainakum فظهاركم على الأرض خير من بطونها. He says if your leaders are the best amongst you, your wealthy people are easygoing. Like they let things slide, And if your decisions are decided through shura, consultation, meaning arguing amongst yourself, then it's better to be on top of the earth, okay, than inside. However, when umara'ukum shararukum, when your leaders are the worst amongst you, think Trump. Okay? وَأَغْنِيَاؤُكُمْ يعني بُخَلَاؤُكُمْ, and your wealthy people are stingy. Okay? Stingy. وَأَمْرُكُمْ عِنْدَ نِسَائِكُمْ, and your decisions are decided by your woman. Then being in the ground is better than being on top of the earth. And this is not a hit against women. It's a hit against men. Not that we let them, they step up because we ain't in position. It ain't them getting in, you know what I'm saying? Because if we were doing what we were doing, there wouldn't be no place for them to do that. They wouldn't even think to.
They would support us.
Of course they're going to support us, and they're trying to support, but that's why they step up. Okay? But we're a different creation, so their approach is going to be different from ours. So the nuqs is not in them, the nuqs or the deficiency is in us. So here, La a'budu ma ta'budun. I'm not worshiping that thing that you worship. What's the next line? Listen to that. Wama. Here, wama. Sorry, I'm on the wrong line. I'm ready to finish. Sorry.
نعم ولا
أنتم
عابدون ما أعبد
ما أعبد.
Nor will I worship.
Okay, so here, wala, this is a negation, and you all are not antum. Antum here, you all are not, is specifying those people, those kuffar, abiduna. Now here, abiduna is not a fi'l al-mudari. Ismul fi'l. Okay? You get the point here? Ismul fa'il. And the ismul fa'il, the name of the one who's the ing rule. Okay? So here's abiduna, you all are not worshiping. But when you have it in this form in the art, it's stronger than I'm not. Okay? What I worship, it means you all are not capable. It's like you say, like if I say, like, look, so-and-so did not steal. And he is not a thief. He is not a thief is stronger than he did not steal. Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
It's impossible for him to be, so he's not a thief. Okay? This is what they're saying. There's no way you guys could worship what I worship. Why? Because you're what y'all are worshiping. Because y'all so caught up in that other thing, you can't get into this. Does that mean they don't come together? You get what I'm saying? You can't worship what I'm working bil ikhlas. Because even though they worship Allah, don't they? Don't the Christians worship Allah? But you don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, to a degree.
No, I'm saying if you don't know, then you can't give them da'wah. You see, because it's not enough to diagnose. You got to know who you're dealing with, right? Now, do the Christians do it or not? What is their number one principle? The Father, the Trinity. And doesn't the Trinity include Allah?
Yes.
Yes. So they worship Allah, and along with Allah, Jibreel and Isa. Okay? This is the foundation of their belief. So this is why y'all can't be worshiping what I worship. Why? Because it's Allah is tayyib. وَلَا يَقْبَلُ إِلَّا طَيِّبٍ. He says, أَنَا أَغْنَى مِنْ شِرْكٍ. I am the most person that don't need nobody to make sure. So if you give me something, it's Allah, and in it is some partner, hey, I give it to whoever you want it, the other person, not other person, the other one that you put it there with. You get the point? So you ain't worshiping Allah, because Allah rejects that. He only accepts it with ikhlas. Okay, with tawheed. Does that make sense, everybody? Yes. What's the next line? Come on, stop mumbling, guys. Loud and clear.
ولا أنا عابد.
ولا أنا عابد ما عبدتم. Okay, so here, let's do this again. And not, okay, negation. Ana. Now I'm clear. This is clarifying. And me, you see me saying me? What does that say when you say when me, nigga? You clarify. For myself. That's for me. Didn't I just explain that ismul fa'il? It's like those shirts that people say, today I'm not doing nothing for nobody. Right? You see them shirts? And tomorrow don't look good either, right? They say that. This is saying, look, don't expect me. Okay? Don't even expect me to ever be worshiping.
What you worship?
Okay? What alladhi, that thing that you all have worshipped. Okay? Don't even think about it. Don't if you had any thought in your mind, because remember, put it in context. They came and said, hey, we'll worship your God for 1 year. And then we're going to expect you to worship our God for 1 year, right? So we're all in this together. Happy, happy, joy, joy, right? This is the mentality. Of course, they can worship anything. They don't believe in anything. Okay, what they believe in is foolishness. So they don't make a difference. They really worship money. That's it. And they're all in their so-called positions. Right? So here Allah's messenger is teaching, Allah is teaching us to tell them, and for us, it's for us to reconfirm every morning, every time you both go to sleep. This is a very important surah for us to remind ourselves, and I am not ever going to be worshiping what y'all worship. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What's the next ayah?
ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد.
ولا, say it again.
ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد.
ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد. Again, and you all are not. Abidun, okay, with your shirk, the thing that I'm worshiping, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You guys get it? Yes. So what does that mean? So many times in this tafseer, and just not in the tafseer, but in the Quran itself, Allah teaches us a very important principle. There's nothing upon us illa balagh. Our job is not to grab somebody, throw them in a headlock, and make them offer salah. Put on a kufi, grow their beard, raise their pants, do anything. It's not our job to do that. They have lakum dinukum wali dini. Ours is only to inform them and to make it clear. Does that make sense? No. You do your thing. As long as we ankar al-fi'l, as long as we did not sit there and watch, and this is a legal thing too. As long as we adhar, we show our disapproval, then we did our job. And if that's dangerous to us, then we just don't sit there. وَإِذَا مَرُّوا بِاللَّغْوِ مَرُّوا كِرَامًا. All right? وَلَا يَشْهَدُونَ الزُّورَ. Right? And they don't witness falsehood. So we pass by honorably and dignity. That's what we're told to do. مَنْ يَرَى مِنْكُمُ الْمُنْكَرَ فَلْيُغَيِّرْهُ بِيَدِهِ فَإِنْ لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ فَبِلِسَانِهِ وَإِنْ لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ فَبِقَلْبِهِ وَذَلِكَ أَضْعَفُ الْإِيمَانِ. Meaning if you don't hate it in your heart, you have no iman. You have no iman. So, we're saying, hey, you can't worship what we worship, what I worship. Because I'm worshiping Allah. And Allah does not accept shirk. Last line, what is it? Lakum dinukum dinukum. And we explained what deen was, right? That's why I started off. Our whole deen is 4 things. What are the 4 things our deen is?
Aqidah, Ibadah,
Muamalat. And so our aqidah is our worldview, our mentality, those things that are our reality. Our aqidah, our ibadah is our activities of worship, right? How we worship. And that's going to be based on our aqidah. Then our suluk is the mentality we take towards our from the stories and everything like that, specifically the stories in the Quran. Hey, give him, you sitting down here? Oh, no. Tafadhal. He's a young guy, he doesn't mind. He plays basketball.
Boxes.
In boxes.
What I have.
Have a seat, brother.
Shaikh.
Aqidah suluk is our mentality, and then the muamalat is our behavior. Okay, the activities that we do among ourselves. So it's crazy that sometimes the way we treat each other and we talk to each other and interact. That's what muamalat is going back to. You know, how we talk and deal with each other. They can't come together. You get my point? Muhammad Rasulullah waladina ma'ahu fa ruhama bainahum. Ruhama bainahum. They're gentle, they have mercy towards each other, between each other. Allah tells us, Ya ayyuhan nas ittaqu rabbakum alladhi khalaqakum min nafsin wahida, right? Wa khalaqa minha zawjaha wa batha minhuma rijalan kathiran wa nisaa, right? واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام in fi qira'ah. Okay? والأرحام. Here that means, and also واتقوا الأرحام. And have, just like you cook, why? Those are the ones you ask things for. You spend more time with your family than you do with people outside, right? So you have more opportunities to offend them and to take their rights. So you have to have taqwa for them. Why? Because based on the fact that that's my brother, that's my cousin, that's my father, that's my daughter, my son, I'm asking you to do something for me. Right? And Allah's teaching that it's a reciprocal relationship. Muhammad Rasulullah وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ أَشِدَّاءَ عَلَى الْكُفَّارِ رُحَمَا بَيْنَهُم. Okay? They have shiddah, dignity, and firmness when against the kuffar. But with the believers, they are gentle with each other. They're easygoing, samhan, no big deal. Small thing to a mental giant. But we don't. We act like, I don't want to say we, but in general, sometimes we act like mental midgets. And we can't get over it. We live and deal with the kuffar every day, and we find reasons to interact with them. Then we get mad at the believer, and then I don't want to talk to you for the rest of your life. You see that? And it's not like he's a kafir. I'm not saying he's a kafir, but I'm never going to speak to him again. SubhanAllah. So we have to get our aqeedah right in order to get that attitude, that behavior right. It's not fathomable that we can believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and sell beer and alcohol and drugs like it's adi, and then come to the masjid and see the people who are not, because you know this becomes an issue between the immigrant population and the locals. The locals grew up seeing drugs, grew up here seeing it and everything. Not that other populations didn't. So it's like a smack in the face to see our Muslim brothers selling it, and then bringing that money to the masjid, and then looking at you saying, "Yo, akhi, how come you're not contributing?" Because I'm not a drug dealer. You know, really. That's the mentality, and we don't want to sit down and have that conversation. The mabna of wealth sometimes is haram. And then the attitude based upon that and what is done is also indicative of a misunderstanding of what is reality. Okay? What the reality is. Not everybody. I don't maybe think I'm picking on anybody, immigrant or anything like that. I'm saying in general, this is our problem. Okay? And all we have to do is sit down and talk to each other and be real with each other and refuse to get up off the table because I didn't like your style or I didn't like your stance. I don't have to. I just have to understand you and you have to understand me, and then we could move together. Does that make sense? Inshallah. Lakum dinukum wali dini. This is a different qira'ah. This qira'ah here that I'm putting here is just to get you to understand the meaning of it. This is the qira'ah of Yaqub. Tukra. Okay, this is how it comes in the Quran. Lakum dinukum. You have your suluk, your way, your whole thing, and you can keep that. My job is not to fight you and stop you. My job is to fight me and stop me. And I'm busy, you know. Wali dini. And I have my way, right? I have to do this. And deen, another meaning of the word deen is jazaa. Okay? Yawm ad-deen, yawm al-jazaa. So you're going to get a'malakum, you're going to get the reward for what you did, and I'm going to get the reward for what I did. I'm not going to have to deal with what you did. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So hey, you want to do that? You go lakum dinukum. Your jaza'ukum. Wali dini, jaza'i. Wa nas'alullah jaza'an khayran. Ameen. I went through this, and normally, like I said, I don't do the linguistic breakdown because I don't want to lose anybody, but this is one of the most important surahs that we recite on a daily basis. And we have to really understand the meaning thereof. When I see this, when it says, lakum dinukum, lakum jaza'ukum, bima fa'altum, bima a'ba'tum, right? You're going to get the reward for what you worshipped. Allah tells us in Surah Al-An'am, وَلَوْ تَرَىٰ إِذْ وُقِفُوا. If they were standing before it, or when they asked on Yawm al-Qiyamah, Surah Al-An'am explains it, when they asked them, and they say, hey man, they're going to say, no, we didn't, Wallahi, Rabbina, I swear by my Lord, we didn't make shirk. مَا كُنَّا مُشْرِكِينَ. We wasn't making shirk. Don't you see how quickly how they flip the script on themselves? Yawm al-Qiyamah, their fitna to whom is only going to be, they're going to swear to Allah that they did not worship anything besides Allah. So again, our job is not to force anybody to do anything. Our job is to recognize that we're going to get a reward for what we did. For everything we did. And may Allah forgive us. Ameen. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم.